Welcome to the webinar of the Foundation for Philippine Progress. You are tuning in to the fifth installment of our signature event series called Philippines is in the Heart. Today's event is Kumain Ka Na, a celebration of Filipino food, flavors, and family. Good afternoon from Portland. We also have people joining us from all over the US and the Philippines. Good morning, magandang umaga. Thank you for joining us. Maraming salamat po sa inyong pagdalo. The Rondalia music you heard playing in the background was generously donated to us by Erna Cruz Louie of the American Center of Philippine Arts based in Oakland. Maraming salamat, Erna. I'll pass it off to I to talk over our virtual code of conduct.
Thanks, Charleen. In our initial conception of this series, we had imagined that it would be held in person. We wish that we would gather together in person and get to know one another. However, we're doing the best we can to stay connected. Because we know that this online platform might be new to some of you, we want to go over the virtual code of conduct during our time together. Please rename yourself, your name, city, and organization from which you're joining us today. Please mute your phone or computer microphone throughout the webinar. You are more than welcome to type your comments or questions in the chat room throughout the webinar. If you have any questions, please utilize the chat room by clicking the chat button found in the controls in the bottom of your screen. Our staff team will be looking at the chats throughout the webinar as you follow along the presentation. Today's webinar will be recorded and then uploaded to our YouTube page afterwards. And now I call Kuya Roger to talk about the Foundation for Philippine Progress.
Thank you, I. This webinar series is brought to you by the Foundation for Philippine Progress. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization that is dedicated to empower and engage communities in programs and projects for the Philippines to secure quality health, education, and basic human rights for every Filipino. We are based in Portland, Oregon, but we work with communities across the United States while conducting our projects for vulnerable communities in the Philippines. I'd like to show you now our promotional video.
The Philippines, Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao, Lumad, Aita, workers, students, farmers, mothers, fathers, grandchildren, nurses, teachers, doctors, 7,000 islands without enough water, typhoon prone, vast and rich lands, but the people are hungry. So we've partnered with organizations in the Philippines, nonprofits, hospitals, relief organizations, to launch the Foundation for Philippine Progress, to partner with you for a united, whole, rich Philippines, for a full life for every Filipino.
As an educator, I have always been inspired by the words of Brazilian educator Paulo Freire. Education is an act of love and thus an act of courage. As a retiree and in the spirit of education in pursuit of truth, one cannot simply say, I'm done, especially in the midst of today's global crisis. It will never be done, more so with the Philippines in our hearts. It will always be a privilege and an honor to be committed to an organization that follows the calling for action and compassion. The Foundation for Philippine Progress continues to promote valued relief for 2 years now. The Foundation's collective vision to reach out to those most in need is both inspiring and impressive, furthering its goal of a full life for every Filipino. It has embarked on missions to provide medical and surgical needs to the marginalized in far-flung areas, mobilized immediate and direct help in disaster relief efforts, and conducted community education resources and activities for barrios and villages impacted by environmental or socio-economic challenges. These among many other worthy actions. And because each and every one of you here today has the Philippines in your heart, we are thankful and hopeful for your continuing support through donations, participation, or volunteering efforts. In light of the current state of things the world over, we hope to foster through our actions a more meaningful celebration of solidarity with our kababayan in the Philippines, in their perseverance beyond the crisis of the times, through our work and programs that reach across nations and peoples. And so, in the words of Frederick Douglass, quote, "The conscience of this nation must be aroused, for it is not light that is needed, but fire. It is not the gentle shower, but thunder," unquote. And because each and every one of you here today has the Philippines in your heart, we now have this opportunity to have such great programs. I will pass this off to your co-host this evening.
Hello, everybody. I'll be co-hosting today's webinar. My name is Charleen Abenoja, a project coordinator with the Foundation for Philippine Progress. And joining me in different parts of the program tonight will be our volunteer staff team. They're responsible for putting together this webinar series. Thank you very much for working tirelessly to make this happen. We have Roger Rigor, our PR coordinator, Ronald Antonio, our marketing director, Rosella De Leon, our executive director, and Aika Lalo, my fellow project coordinator and co-host for this evening. Aika Lalo draws from her desire for all Filipinos to have access to their land and basic needs when she's curating food and event ideas for the Filipino community. While in college, she studied sound engineering, graphic design, and multimedia, from which she learned valuable skills that she willingly gives back to communities she cares most about. An event technology director by profession, Aika Lalo also spends her time as a professional DJ and as the other half of the popular Filipino-inspired dumplings pop-up in Seattle, which she co-owns, That Dumpling Dough. Ai loves to cook, fish, and forage, activities that she loves sharing with her partner, co-parent, 2 kids, and friends. She has participated in immersion trips to the Philippines and has coordinated fundraisers for survivors of Typhoon Haiyan and the Mount Taal volcanic eruption in the Philippines. Her involvement with the Foundation for Philippine Progress allows her to serve the underserved sectors of the Philippine society while maximizing her skills and experience and expertise.
Thanks for the introduction, Charleen. And now to introduce you, Charleen Abenoja, is a self-taught dessert and pastry chef and community organizer born and raised in Renton, Washington, and currently based in Portland, Oregon. She is the owner and maker at Shop Halo Halo, where she sells a curated mix of handmade Filipino goods and sweets, some of which have been featured in events such as the Portland Stellar Art Showcase, Filipino Eats Week, and the Foundation for Philippine Progress's annual gala. Charleen has a deep love for her Filipino roots and honors the migration story of her parents by working towards a Philippines where everyone has access to food, healthcare, education, and basic human rights.
The 7-part launch of Philippines is in the Heart, our signature event series, is carefully curated as our own contribution in keeping the Philippines alive in our hearts. We want to utilize our platform to provide current and accurate bits and pieces of the Philippine history, culture, food, language, along with the current situation on the ground. We want to maximize our platform to get together with all of you to discuss any and everything about the Philippines and be a place where we can have truthful and meaningful discussion about what is dear to us. After all, we know that even though a lot of us are not back home in the motherland, the Philippines is in our hearts. Scheduled around key historic moments such as Philippine Independence Day, June 12th, Philippine American Friendship Day, July 4th, and the Philippine State of the Nation Address, July 27th. This webinar series is designed to enjoin participants to learn more about the truth about the Philippines through the lens of historians, scholars, community organizers, and our volunteer partners for progress in the US and in the Philippines who are doing tireless work on the ground. We named our series Philippines is in the Heart to honor and commemorate Carlos Bulosan and his work. He was a writer, poet, novelist, and a nationalist who arrived in Seattle in 1930. His story and work have made a difference in the lives of so many of us. Like so many Filipinos, Carlos Bulosan migrated to the US in search of a better life. His experiences and hardships as a new immigrant living in America were documented in his prolific writing and is best known for his novel, America is in the Heart, followed by his collection of short stories, The Philippines is in the Heart. Like Carlos Bulosan, we recognize that for a lot of overseas Filipino workers who have been living in the streets of Saudi, Lebanon, and Hong Kong because they lost their jobs due to the COVID-19 pandemic, they cry out for help in order to continue supporting their families back home. The Philippines is in their hearts. For a lot of our kababayan who are grieving the tragic loss of their relatives who they can't even see because of the travel restrictions, we know that the Philippines is in their hearts. For 100,000 Filipino seafarers who are currently stuck at sea and have been longing to go home to their families, the Philippines is in their hearts. For a lot of our kababayan whose upbringing have been separated from the beauty of the Philippine culture and traditions and are trying to reconnect to their roots through Filipino food and learning Tagalog, we know that the Philippines is in their hearts. Filipino or not, born in the Philippines or not, the love for the Philippines is something we all share. Our signature event series exists to honor that. We hope that you enjoyed the series that we put together for you. Now I'll pass it off to I to talk about our raffle.
All right. During the launch of the series, we started a raffle, and all the participants of this webinar had a chance to win some prizes that bring us closer to the Philippines, such as Carlos Bulosan books, Filipino cookbooks, traditional Filipino textile, Tagalog English dictionaries, and traditional Filipino accessories. To participate in the raffle, we encourage participants to make a donation of at least $5 to support our work. From last week, there were donations that came in who will be part of this raffle. If you are so inclined, please share, like I said, in the chat, if you intend to make a donation, and our staff will jot down your names to include the raffle today. These simple acts do so much in changing the quality of life of our kababayan in the Philippines. Your name will be in the raffle basket for the rest of this webinar series. For today's event, we will be picking the winners before we wrap up the night. I would like to announce that we'll be interviewing as well as asking rapid fire questions during the cooking demonstration. So when you hear this sound, that is a rapid fire question that we can ask Chef Charleen anytime. And again, you can have that in the chat box. Chef Charleen started her culinary adventure on the streets of the Bay Area, setting up a makeshift kitchen wherever she could. She cooked in the streets, at local festivals, inside clubs, bars, and in private kitchens and private clients, building a solid following of local and regional foodies throughout the Bay Area and beyond. She opened her first brick and mortar in Oakland, California. Kaibigan Filipino Comfort Food opened its doors in August of 2013. A reality TV gem, she is the first Filipinx woman to win Food Network's Chopped in 2016. That following year, she competed on the Farmer's Market Flip, which aired on the Cooking Channel. In 2017, Charleen pursued opening up her second restaurant, Craft and Spoon, also in Oakland, serving hints of Filipino food along with a diverse mix of quick service lunch bites. Being a cannabis advocate and connoisseur, you can also find her running shop in Portland, Oregon at the People's Dispensary. When both worlds collide, you might get a mouth-watering elevated experience. As an entrepreneur, Charleen continues to pursue her passions in food, retail, and projects in the cannabis industry. A go-getter and self-motivator, Charleen strives for community growth for her Filipinx heritage and culture. And I have a short video of Chef Charleen.
Happy New Year, y'all.
A celebratory meal is in order as Chopped brings in the new year. Whose January will start with a $10,000 prize, and who will be chopped? And that means, Chef Charleen Kabai, that you are the Chopped champion. Happy New Year.
Yeah! I feel amazing. Hell yeah, hell yeah. It was a big sacrifice to get where I'm at, and it's definitely well worth it, and such a great reward. Hell yeah. It's an amazing feeling. with my passion, knowing that this is what I wanted to do, I pushed even harder. I realized that I gotta take it to the next level. Apricots, limes, tequila alley. Yes! We got that up! No stress zone right there. Okay, we got a little friend here, a little squirrel right there. No lamb, but this will be close enough. Okay. You and the kid too, you coming with me? All right, thank you. It's somebody's birthday. Let's go. Hey. What's up, everybody?
How are you doing?
I am good.
I look like I'm gonna land an airplane right now, right? And I'm a little nervous, but I'll admit that. I had a little script and fumbled, but yeah, I just wanted to say hi, Charleen.
What's up?
Thank you for joining us. And this is your show, so if you want to get started, again, if the audience has questions, we're gonna put in the chat box, and then throughout your cooking, I'm just gonna shoot some questions over your way, and then rapid fire questions.
I'm hell excited to be here. Yeah, let's get this started. Let's see. I know when you reached out to me, the organization said like what y'all are about to do and what you want to put out for the community. That really hit home. I haven't been able to participate too much in the kitchen. I'm doing a lot of other things and trying to hold it down. But, I was like, despite how much I got on my plate, like, I have to do this. I want to do this. So again, I'm excited and thank you for y'all being here. But let's get this started. Got my little stainless bowls and all that. So today I'm gonna cook some vegetable pancit. Actually, no, it will be vegetable pancit with chicken. And we're gonna start from there. I'm gonna kind of leave it like open, like I want y'all to, I feel like y'all are in my house. Like there's like 50 people right now, but we'll just go as we go. And, I and Charleen, just feel free to, go ahead and guide me on any questions or whatnot. Cool?
Yeah, just instruct us on what you're doing.
Yeah.
We'll go over some questions.
So,
yeah, what are you prepping right now?
I'm about to get all the goodies for this.
Okay.
So for this chicken vegetable pancit, I gotta pull out the vegetables first. But let me give you a little intro of like how I started, where I came from, and just where I'm at currently, because so much has happened, Let's see. Let's just start from where I'm originally from. I was, I'm born in New Jersey. Started off in the East Coast. My parents, they migrated from the Philippines. My mom is from Batangas and my father's from Palawan, the big island of Palawan. The history behind that was, it's pretty deep. I have an older sister, Michelle, who I think is out there as well. So I'm gonna say what's up. So yeah, we started in Jersey, and my mom's a nurse, and my dad, like, he was on the ship. Actually, he was like a captain, part of the, I think, Maritime Academy or something along those lines. It wasn't like Coast Guard, it wasn't the military, but that's where he started. From what I remember, or what my mom and my sister would tell me, is that, when my mom gave birth to my sister and me, like, he wasn't around because he was out overseas. And, my mom held it down for a few years. I think it was up until maybe when my sister was like 4 years old and I was still a baby. And my mom just couldn't, take care of both of us. And it got to a point where she said that, my dad had to get off the ship and just really hold it down in Jersey. After that, my father got off the ship and he started work in I think in the oil industry. And I never knew too much detail about it, but he was also still on a ship, but in the refineries and just running things there. And I didn't know too much detail, but I know they worked a lot. As being second generation, our parents just work. They wanted to build that foundation. They wanted the best for us. My grandparents had to come to America and help take care of my sister and I. And from there, like, I feel like I was mostly raised by my grandparents. I was, when I think of them, like, it breaks my heart, because it's like, they're the ones that really took care of me day in, day out. It was mostly my grandmother first, like, throughout my whole childhood. So I was like the favorite. Sorry, Michelle. But
yeah, Michelle's on the call.
It was from my grandmother. She raised most of my childhood. And then from there, there was a point, I think it was in my teen, it was like 92. So I was about 13 or 12, and situations had to change and we had to shift. My father ended up to look for another job. So he found another job in California. So from there, we ended up to move to California. And from California, like, he found a government job, which was solid. It was stable. It took care of all of us in a better way. It was a big move for me, because I left more family and I left friends, at that age. And when I moved to California, you become a rebel, because you're like, why did we have to leave? This is where home is. So it was a big changing point. We landed in Vallejo, California, and it was, everything happens for a reason. And I don't know if y'all know, but Vallejo, California is like a Daly City. It's like a little Manila. And it was the most Filipinos I've ever seen, because damn well, sorry, there's children, but you know well that there's not, well, growing up, like, there wasn't that many Filipinos in Jersey. I was probably I had one best friend, but we were the only Filipinos out of the whole school, whether it's elementary or middle school. We were that black sheep out of the whole group. Folks didn't know what Filipino was. We're either Chinese, Japanese, or they just didn't know. So I'm grateful that we moved to Vallejo. Like, I learned a lot of I further learned more about our culture. But let me rewind a little bit more. Like, back in Jersey, like, we moved from a family, or different, like, I had a lot of family out there. So growing up, like, what I remember are family parties, having these big parties where, we have a huge buffet of all the foods, as that's what we do, Filipinos, like, when it comes to party, like, we have international buffet. So moving back to California, like, we moved and we didn't have any of that family. It was tough for a couple of years, because we didn't have that community. But it eventually built. Like, I grew, I matured, and I learned. And there's a lot of things that I missed of the culture, and the culture was also still with me, So I didn't lose that, and I don't take that for granted, and it still lives with me, and it continues to. Uh-oh.
Rapid fire question.
Come on.
Hogan High School or Vallejo High?
Hogan. What?
I'm from Vallejo too.
Okay. That's where I met in junior high, But yeah, a little fast forward, Vallejo, California is where I started. From there, graduated DeVry University in computer information system. I wanted to move up that corporate ladder, go through the IT route. Like, I love IT, and I figured, like, that was also your parents are like, well, you be a nurse or be something else, but you have to make money. So I didn't want to be a nurse, and the thought of being like a cook was not an option, or that wasn't even a thought, it wasn't even an idea. But I really wanted to jump into the computers. So I graduated with a Bachelor of Science in Computer Information System. and I tried to go up that corporate ladder, you know, and there's a lot of, it just didn't work out, you know. I learned that corporations was just not my thing up until now, like learning and looking back, like there's just all these systems that were in place that I wasn't down for. And it made sense, you know. I was a rebel, you know. In the industry, you know, it's a predominant white male industry. So I was constantly fighting and battling to show that me being Filipino, a woman, you know, that I have to strive 10 times harder just to get up that ladder. It was a struggle, you know, I'm not gonna lie, like it was draining, but I kept trying to, you know, keep moving up that ladder. So after that, how I got into like cooking and stuff, that's always been my jam. Like from my grandma to my mom to my sister, we've always been a cooking family. Like food was number one, you know. There's always food on the stove. There's always food in the fridge. I mean, I had no problem with any food, and you know, we love food. We always had good food. Yeah, so it kind of instilled in me, and then like, but also it wasn't a thing of like, am I passionate about it, or you know, up until after college or around like my early late 20s, where I cooked Filipino food and shared it with my current community out in the Bay. And there were so many of them that were just like, what is this? What is Filipino food? What is adobo? What is lumpia? And I'm like, what? You know, so that's where it kind of developed on my cooking, you know. I've cooked like for potlucks or whatever. It didn't think, you know, it wasn't a big deal. It was just, I'll cook, you know, that was my thing. Like, I'll do it, I'll hold it down. I think up until like, I saw how much Filipino food really sparked light in people's eyes, how much like our food is so darn delicious. And it's unique. A lot of folks were like, why don't you open a restaurant? You need to put this out. You know, you need to give this to the masses or cook for people and all that. And it finally sparked, like while I was in the industry, the IT industry. Hold on real quick. I'm gonna just kind of prep as I talk so that we could get a little flow and, you know, like you're hanging out in the kitchen with me.
You're getting a lot of comments too in the chat.
Okay. I don't see the comments.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
we're gonna like go
to
through
Portland by Marites.
Say again?
Bring the flavor to Portland.
I'm in Portland right now. What's up?
And Seattle, please.
Okay, we can make that happen. Where was I?
I have another sound effect for you.
Say again?
I have another sound effect for you.
Okay, let's do it. Okay. Well, let me pause on my story real quick, but yeah, let me just introduce some ingredients that I'm going to start with, and I'll just chop, and I hope y'all can view and see see me doing all the prep work and all that. Now, when it comes to pancit, the reason why I chose pancit was all the food. I mean, it's something instilled in us from me growing up, you know, like my grandma always cooked and my mom always cooked this, always at every party, everyone's birthday. I mean, it rolled, you know, it was that food that was easily cooked and shared with a lot of people. So I chose this too because I remember going back to the Philippines, and pancit is one that I always think of abundance. You know, it's a food that, again, like, as cheap and simple as these ingredients are, you could feed a village. I will say a village because that's what I did when I went back home, you know, from simple cabbage, right? Celery, okay? This is only just like a few stalks. 2 carrots, that's all you need. I got garlic, onions, I got 1 egg, and I got tofu for bonus, and a lemon. I would have opted for calamansi, but you know, Portland, it's hard to get them get calamansi out here in Portland, you know. they got hybrid lime lemons, and you know, like,
Like
but
a car,
we will make
car. A hybrid car.
I know, right? The gentrified citrus, you know. But anyways, yeah, so I got lemon. But yeah, so when I think of pancit, I think of abundance, you know. And in the fridge, I got noodles, not rice noodles, but did you know that the shuktan hun noodles is like Some of them are made from mung bean, and some of them are made from rice stick, or cornstarch. This whole time, like, honestly, I'm not gonna lie, like, I thought all noodles are made out of rice noodles. If they're clear, they're rice noodles, but that's not the case. So we learn something every time, okay? So I'm gonna just go ahead and start. If y'all got any questions, let's go. Also, check this out. National Blade Works. This is was shipped out from the Philippines. So if you are a tool connoisseur, you gotta check these out. I'm gonna start with the cabbage and all that.
Can you put that in the link, the chat box later?
Say it again.
Can you put that in the chat box later?
Oh,
Where to get the knife?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Can you hear me? Do I have to raise my volume just a tad bit?
No, you're good. I'm just, what is it? Bingy? And that's partially, it's hard to hear, but.
All right. So while you're prepping, I do want to ask,
Yes.
what do you feel is the essence of Filipino food and cuisine?
Ooh, the essence. I was gonna say Ajinomoto. No, I'm just kidding. The essence, I think it's the labor of love that's inputted, the layers to it, Filipino food should be cooked in layers. And when I say layers, like, when you make a stew, you put things in certain order, or you cook things in certain order because of how long each cooks, how long it should be stewed, and from all the layers, it formulates this wonderful taste, that salty, sweet, and it brings out all the essence when it's, it's cooked in not, there's no specific order, but I think if you cook it in a way of density and the type of vegetable or protein that you're making, it really brings out all the flavors that you are putting into it. Is that good?
That's fantastic.
All right, so I'm gonna chop up some of this purple cabbage. And what I like too is that you don't even need that much. Like, look at this is a small cabbage, and sometimes like folks be getting the big one, but you don't need that much. If you want to be balling on a budget, all you need is $5, and I bet you for $5 you can make pancit for 20 people. No lie.
So you're on a supermarket show, right? And were you given an amount of money to spend on all the ingredients to make the food, or?
Yeah, the way it worked was you're given an amount of money, and as customers come out, you got to basically bribe them to buy their groceries. And from that, like, these are people that don't know what you're doing, and you have random people coming up. I'm sure they obviously know that they're about to be on a show, but you bargain. So I'm going against these chefs. Some of them are kind of were karipot, but I was ready to throw my money. It's not my money, So what do I got to lose? By the grace of the universe hooked me up with amazing carts. I had one that one of them was Mediterranean, and I literally had all Mediterranean ingredients. So that was a trip. So again, like, if you believe in law of attraction, like, if you want something, put it all out there. I can guarantee, like, you'll eventually get it.
What did you do with the stuffed llama and squirrel?
I wish I was able to take it home, honestly, but they end up to take it. And sometimes I wonder if they did that purposely or what, because I don't know, the other chefs, they didn't really have too much of the fun stuff, I was like, again, certain things be put in front of your face, and you work with what you got, even if it's a stuffed animal.
So for the chopped video and the supermarket video, can they go to the website to find that, or YouTube?
Oh, to get it? For chopped, if you have iTunes, you could purchase it. It's just one episode. I think it's like $3.99 or something. There may be one that you could find, floating around, but you know how the copyright things are, But if y'all want it, I could videotape it with my phone. I'm just kidding. So these carrots, one memory that I do like to always think about is when my grandma used to make pancit. She would always cut the carrots big like this, like chips, like thin chips. And I've always had a love for carrots. So this time I'm gonna, for my grandma's sake, I'm gonna leave them as big chips to enjoy, and we'll go from there. And again, like, you don't need that many vegetables. Like, I've seen pancit where folks just use the cabbage and that's it. And I'm like, where's everything else? But again, it's all in what you got. Whatever you have, as little as it is, don't take it for granted. You can definitely feed a lot of people for a little amount of money. And that's one thing I know. Like, I don't know if your grandparents or the way your mom cooked. Like, our household growing up, I had a lot of relatives that always lived with us for a short time. Like, they would come from the Philippines and they would end up to live with us for a while until they could settle in, get a job, and then be able to sustain yourselves. Like, my parents' house was that house, and I always had aunties and uncles, cousins that were always around, growing up. And people came, people went. And now that I understand, like, it's tough. When you come to America, it's like, how do you come to America coming from, poverty, So, like, as I think about all these things growing up, it's like, it's a trip. It's hard life. I'm realizing, shoot, I've become my mom, All right, got carrots and all that. So with pancit, thin slices are always good. And sometimes if you really like your vegetables, make them a little bit thicker. It's okay, And the way I cut it and how I separate it, cabbage is usually the last thing because it's so thin. I usually group carrots and celery. I had snap peas, but they just weren't. They ended up to a situation happened, so I had to, move on. All right, I'm gonna cut an onion. So this blows my mind. If there's any professional chefs that's watching right now, like, I wasn't professionally trained or culinary trained, right? Or the way I look at it is, if you go to culinary school, it's like you have to be French trained. So that doesn't sound right, right? True or not? Can somebody answer that? But anyways, like, I noticed that culinary school, it's like, if you don't understand how to, do, like, I don't know, like, make a, I don't know, bechamel or something, or sous vide, or, it seems that, like, if you didn't go that route, like, you weren't going to be a good cook, But that came up to mind because, like, as I watch chef videos, they always say you have to cut your onion like this. You leave the end and then you cut and then you slice it this way. And I'm like, but why? Like, I get it. And it's like you chop all at once. But in my mind, I'm like, well, you got your knife. I've never seen my grandmother or my mom cut it like that. It's like, shoot, like, I remember in the Philippines, they would cut it with a small little knife like this, They feed, like, this is the butcher knife in the PI. Well, unless you have one of these, I remember in the Philippines, like, if you want some chicken, we gonna get some chicken, But I remember, like, I had aunties and uncles, they would cut their vegetables off one little thing like this. But anyways, as I was saying, when they cut onions, it's like, if you want chopped onions, then you do the slice, right? I mean, I feel like this is the easiest way. And then you turn it, and then you chop again. I don't know why they made it complicated where you have to slice like this. I'm like, how many times I tried and almost cut myself? That's horrible. I don't like that technique. But no hate on, culinary trained folks. I just know that I was trained at home.
Rapid fire question.
Let's go.
Ooh, I have one. If you could only eat one Filipino dish for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Oh, that's a hard one. Why? Oh, like, shoot. Okay, since I'm trying to go low carb, I will eat chicharron for life, okay? Low carb, salty.
Chicharron low carb.
What?
Is it?
What? Hey, I have chicharron with me everywhere, you know? So if I could, chicharron, lechon, yes.
You eat it with vinegar too?
I do. I have vinegar. Don't remind me.
My dad buys the vinegar ones and dips them in vinegar.
What was that?
My dad buys the like vinegar flavored chicharron and he'll still dip it in vinegar.
Oh, see, that's like bonus bite, You gotta have them bonus bite. I love how our people just love that bonus, extra something. They always like a bonus egg in what do you call it? In embutido or something. You cut it like ooh. All right, I'm gonna cut some garlic right now. I'm just gonna chop it up real quick. Make a little noise. Excuse the noise. All right. Let's see. What else can I share?
Oh, we have a question from the audience. What was the most difficult ingredient that you had to use in a cooking competition?
Ooh, what was the most difficult one? It was on Chopped, and it was the dessert round. They gave, in the dessert round, they gave me a cake, a fondant cake, and then like this sugar-coated cone for a dessert round. So like, they basically just gave me dessert. So I had to take that dessert, deconstruct it. I mean, I didn't, like in my mind, I'm like, why would you give me a cake when I want to make a cake, So, I flipped it around. And that last round I ended up to make a funnel cake with it, because, everything that's fried is better, right?
Even with the fondant?
Well, I've stripped the fondant.
Oh, okay.
So I basically just stripped the cake or deconstructed the cake, removed the fondant and used the cake. And then and then I used the cone, and then I end up to, hold on really quick, I'm gonna put that right there. I used the cone and I used it all as a binder. I ended up put a liquid, and from there, it just binded together. And I mean, again, frying did the magic and made it all combined together. All right, I'm just prepping some garnishing, and then I'm gonna start heating this up so we can get some action going. I'm gonna put my fan on. Can y'all hear if the fan's on?
Yeah, can still hear it.
Okay. So, and I apologize if I'm like kind of all over the place. This is my second Zoom cooking demo, I would say. My first one was with my niece recently. And if you're watching, like, you were my first cooking demo. And I am so proud to have done the cooking demo with you. And if y'all want to see the video, I recently just posted it. We made mud cake, and it was as easy as it was so nerve-wracking just to create my niece. But we had fun, and yeah, we had a blast. All right. But yeah, this is my second time doing this. And again, like, I hope that, I can do more of these for y'all. I know with quarantine and everything, if this is the best way to reach out to folks, like, I'm for it, olive oil, because my heart is special and I don't want no clogged heart, okay? All right, so I'm gonna heat this up a little bit. I have it on high right now. So when cooking pancits, like, I like to have it on high, but that's if you have all your ingredients ready. Because then if you're the type that's like, you don't have it together and you're like, let me just do it here, a little cookie, a chop here and get it there. Like, my tip is like, if you want to cook a whole dish, prep everything first and then cook it all at once. So at least you don't have to worry about like something burning or left uncooked. You don't want that.
Do you have a secret ingredient?
So, what, for today?
Yeah.
What's my secret ingredient? I actually don't. I thought that no, I don't have one. I'm not even gonna lie. All right, so I got chicken breast right here. So the amount I'm gonna cook is probably about enough for like 4 or 5 people. This is a little bit more than enough. I'm just gonna use 1 chicken breast, because 1 chicken breast, again, like, I don't know if you've seen some pancit where they literally grind it so fine that like, they'll say it's chicken pancit, but it's so little. But again, like, I'm not hating on it. It's just, sometimes, we work on a budget and we try to feed many people for what we got, So I'm gonna take this and I'm just gonna do thin slices because I love the big pieces of chicken and bite into it. And I like to make them a little, all almost similar sizes. So these are like a little less than about ½ an inch or so. And because I love the texture, I don't want it too fine because you really want to enjoy every bit of it. And again, like, when you cook pancit, it's like all the different ingredients. I think of abundance. You bite into it, and you got the noodles, and then you got the chicken. You got the flavors of celery and carrots, and it's like you want all every ingredient to shine in the dish. All right, so I'm gonna cook this or heat this up. Oh, I think this is already heating up. Hold on really quick. Now, for electric stove, it gets tricky. All right, so I'm pretty much done. This is gonna be might be a little fast cooked.
I see Kona. Kona
Yeah.
in the background.
Kona! Kona Grills is my roll dog. He always checks in on me, so you'll notice him peek and just be like, "Are you cooking over there? Okay." He does a little check-in watch. I bet you'll see him just pop up, So with since I have an electric stove, I can't really use my other wok, but I love these. This is it's not ceramic, but I got this at actually a Korean market. It's almost like half stone, and I forgot the other material it's made, but it's amazing. So if you ever go to like a Korean market, I think this is like Joy Cook. These are great. Like, I've done this at a pop-up and I've fed like more than 50 people, like back to back, boom, boom, boom. All right, since it's like super hot right now, I lowered the heat to about medium. I'm gonna start doing the essence, we gotta throw in that garlic. Sometimes I like to leave, not all, I like to leave some garlic, and I don't want to cook all of it, right? Because sometimes you want that fresh garlic taste. Then I'm going to put in some of the onions, chopped onions, let that saute a little bit.
I wish I could smell it.
Oh, it smells so good. I'm going to wash my hands. So anytime you're dealing with chicken, I'm sure you hear it all the time. Wash your hands after. You don't want no salmonella, no cross-contamination. All that. Wash it really good, and I hope y'all are washing your hands often now because of COVID and all that, Wash, 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 wash. My favorite tool when mixing with this stuff, I love tongs. I know some folks, they use like spatulas or wooden spoons. I like the trusty tongs. It has silicone at the end so it doesn't scrape it. When I had Kumain vegan, like, this was my go-to. I would take this, I flip noodles like back to back. This was my jam. This will help control like how I'm cooking with things. So medium, I'm gonna put the heat up a little bit. So out of these ingredients, I'm gonna start with garlic, onions, then I'm gonna add the chicken. And from there, we're gonna start adding some seasoning like salt and pepper. I think I'm done cutting stuff, so I'm gonna leave all this in my sink. I'll put this away. All right. So we got the chicken in here. I'm gonna put that heat up a little bit. I'm gonna add a little bit oil because sometimes if it looks dry, look it up. It's olive oil, so it's good for the heart, you know, Philippines in the heart. All right, so I got the chicken cooking. Now's a good time to add a little seasoning, you know, salt. Let's start with some salt. I like to use kosher salt, but I'm also leaning towards Himalayan salt and sea salt. Sea salt is great, you know, it's like common. For something like this, the amount I'm cooking, I like 2 big pinches first. And you end up to salt to taste, right? So chicken breast cooks really fast. I'm gonna boost up the heat even more. And we'll be right, there we go. Just wanna make sure that, okay, cool. At this point, if you want to add more seasoning, soy sauce is now a good time to add. I know soy sauce is sometimes folks overdo it with pancit, but there's some that you don't even need soy sauce, you know? Soy sauce came in the picture from what I learned is when China came and introduced soy sauce. If I'm wrong, please correct me. But I feel like, again, soy sauce came in the picture afterwards. So I'm gonna add a little bit just because it adds a little color, and I'm gonna be adding more soy sauce to the noodles. All right. All right. So I got the chicken cooking. Once that's almost done, I'm already just gonna go ahead and start with the carrots because these carrots I kept them thick. Again, like I like crunch. I want substance. I like again, like I like the crunch to it.
Rapid fire question.
Uh-oh.
In your opinion, what's an underappreciated Filipino food or dish that you really enjoy?
Say again.
Name an underappreciated Filipino dish that you really enjoy.
Underappreciated?
Yeah.
Go on.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah, I love dinuguan.
I agree. Yep.
Right? I love dinuguan. And when I learned to cook it, it was over. I was in the grocery store. I was like, give me the pig ear cheek and give me some of the pork belly. I'm good. And I didn't learn to cook it until later. And most Filipino parties, my dad was the one that cooked it. And his was always the bomb. I'm sorry, but my dad's dinuguan was the creamy, the spicy, not too sour, but sour enough. Like he had a technique, and he always said that, like, again, it's in layers, right? When you add the blood and how you mix it, like you really have to be careful with it. And you have to stir it. So it's like there's really, you know, a lot of love to put into it, you know, even though those are parts of the pig that majority of the people don't really like. Or maybe I shouldn't say that because I know there's a big majority of me that I like about it. But you know, our people, like we don't waste. You know, we eat everything. You know. So I added the carrots. The carrots. Now I'm gonna throw in the celery. Celery, like I love the flavor of celery, carrots. Like I make it thick too because I don't want the flavor to be overcooked. I want when I bite into it, like that taste. You know. You don't want to diminish the flavor when it's too thin. All right, cool. So celery, carrots. And then we have a chicharron break. Hold on. I'm going to eat chicharron for life. No carbs. Okay. So I got all that. I'm going to let that heat up a little bit. Again, I'm not going to add the cabbage until later because this cooks really fast. Sometimes I'll add it, but again, it ends up to get so wilted that it loses its touch. You know, the flavor is gone. So again, like you want to appreciate all the different flavors that's in this. All right, got all that. I got tofu. I'm gonna throw in some tofu right now. This is bonus. I like so many different textures when it comes to food. All right. So that's chopping up right there. I add a little bit more salt. I like doing that. I'm gonna pull out some noodles.
Charlene,
Say
can
again?
you, can you describe the smell?
Ooh, this guy, okay. The garlic is still there. I smell the onions because I didn't overcook it. The carrots, like, carrots have a smell. It's not very strong, but when you make it thick like that, you can still smell it. And the celery is like, again, it's layers of it, right? Ooh, let me add a little bit of soy sauce. And like as bonus, like you can add your lemon right now. But oh my gosh, it's so good. I'm gonna add a little bit more garlic because you can't go wrong with garlic. I mean, not too much. I mean, you can't go wrong with too much garlic. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and measure out the noodles. So when I opened up Kind Vegan, I committed to making content for everybody that walked in. I think like what people didn't experience is freshly cooked Filipino food right off the stove into your mouth, like, and when you go Philippines, we have turo, so things have been sitting there for a while, but, this just reminds me of like, when at home, when your mom or whoever is cooking or your grandma, like, once the food is done, it's time to eat, and you eat now or else it gets cold,
How did you prep the noodles?
So
Were they just soaking?
this is considered mung bean noodles. All you do is take it and you soak it in warm water or hot water. I pre-prepped this yesterday, but it doesn't take that long to soften.
Oh, okay.
After this up,
And
right?
someone asked if you were using firm tofu or what kind of tofu you were putting in.
Say again?
What type of tofu did you put in? Is it firm or?
Oh, okay. This tofu is fried tofu.
Okay.
It was pre-cooked. All right. So that's still cooking. I like when I cook it, like I put it on high because you also want to get a little sear, but not too much. And I noticed that like it's too high. And again, like I'm gonna season a little bit more. And I know I'm gonna you'll be thinking like, oh, I'm adding so much salt, but kosher salt is kind of a bit light, so it's not too salty. But I want to make sure that it gets inside of each of these like thick items. I'm gonna taste it a little bit, because my puso is, you don't want too much salt if your heart is not good. Okay, I'm silly. So now I'm gonna add the noodles. From here I could tell that there's not that much sabaw or sauce. So I'm gonna go ahead and add the noodles. So I'm gonna get some water just to add to it. Usually in that case, like this is probably like about half a cup. So from this, like I'll go ahead and like just coat the noodles a little bit. You don't need too much. And then you hear that the sizzle kind of stops. So I'm gonna boost it up a little bit more because I'm about to add a little water. So that cup of water, half a cup of water, will start creating like a little gravy. So as it's seared on the bottom, it's already like, ooh, it's not, or that gravy or the sauce is gonna seep into the noodles, which is gonna be awesome. So again, it's layers, right? You wanna cook in layers. Now that you hear no sizzling, now I'm gonna boost up the heat one more time because we gotta get everything combined. You want all so now I don't know if you could see, but the water kind of, deglaze the bottom of the pan. And then now we're gonna combine this all together. And you'll notice that I didn't add that much soy sauce. I probably added like a total of like 2 to 3 tablespoons. I'm gonna let that fry up, but look at this, like the colors, the carrots, the celery. And then I got the cabbage still, so by adding the water, it still kind of made it still soaking in, right? Still soaking in the noodles. And you'll notice, like, in the case that you added too much water, put it on high and let it soak up in the noodles, because you'll notice that even though if it's already soft, it'll cook right into it, kind of like a cooking marinade, you know? All right, so I'm gonna let that cook in, let it just seep in all the goodness in there. Let's see. And then I have a bonus egg. This is optional. The egg is always that bonus piece that you're like, oh my gosh, I want the egg. And they only usually have like either a quarter of it or a slice of it, and it ends up to be gone because everyone takes it. But, you know, I like to think in abundance. So we're going to just cut it in half because it's going to look yummy and delicious. And I'll leave that right there. All right. Throw that. Cool. So I'm going to go ahead and take this little wooden spoon and mix this right and make sure that things are met. Now look at this. Now you see, can you tell that the noodles is absorbing the sauce, absorbing all the flavors, and really soaking in there?
Is there any way you can bring the pan closer to the camera?
Yeah. Let me just soak this up a little bit. I'll do this camera first. Actually, let me do this. Can you? No, this one's better. How about that?
Yeah, it looks good.
Yeah, approve?
Yum.
Approve?
Wow.
Yes. Okay, a thought came to mind. So I was thinking about like Tagalog, right? Like why wasn't I taught Tagalog growing up, you know? And I mean, now I understand. It's like, you know, again, your parents, or my parents, they, you know, instill American culture in you, you know, because that's what's going to allow you to succeed here in the States. And, but I realized that I may not know Tagalog, or I know some, but I am fluent 100% Filipino accent, you know. No doubt about it, mine. All right, this is just about done. Now that it's really high, I'm actually gonna start throwing in the cabbage. This kind of adds the color, and more freshness. Like, and again, most people will add it already, but you add it at like one of the end steps. This is where you're gonna season a little bit, because sometimes you just need a little bit of soy sauce to kind of saute it. And at the same time, like I'm gonna add a wedge of lemon, just to add that like citrus flavor. Then I'm gonna toss this up a little bit more, and we're gonna about almost done. If it tends to be sticking, you could go ahead and add a little bit more oil, just so that everything flows with each other. But sometimes you don't even need that. You just need patience. You may need 2 tools, tongs and a spatula. Look at that. Ooh. All right. I think we're almost done here. I'm gonna do a final seasoning of some black pepper. You know, this is, I like to add to the end of it, you know. I like it coarse because you get those pepper bites, but any type of pepper is good. All right, look at that. All right.
We have a question from Ron Antonio.
All right, let's go.
Does pancit go better with white wine or red wine? Or maybe Hennessy? I don't know. What do you think?
Ginebra, hello. No. You know, I'm not much of a wine connoisseur. I mean, whatever floats your boat, to be honest. Like, I mean, this is no hate on wine, folks. I saw the segment on wine connoisseurs taste testing the most expensive wine and the most cheapest wine. And it's just funny because then they had this one guy talk about it, and he made no difference on expensive or cheap. But I say it's preference. You know, if I was to get wine, I'm more of a white wine to this. I love Chardonnays. But if I had like more protein, like if I was having like a steak, I'll go for the red, you know? All right, I'm gonna turn this off because I'm almost done. I'm gonna go ahead and start plating. Oops. Let's see. I'm gonna do one on a flat plate. And again, like, look, I just wanna show you. This is like one average wok. Like I could feed a party with this, right? I could feed a lot of people with this. Balling on a budget right here. Who wants to eat, you know? Look at that. And again, like what I love about pancit is the colors, the layers, the flavor, the textures. You know, when you go to a Filipino restaurant and you order pancit, you know, don't take this for granted and think it's just pancit. But it has, you know, oops, let's put this here.
Rapid fire question. What piece of advice would you give to aspiring Phil-Am chefs or restaurant owners, bakers, etc.?
Ooh, you know, I have so much advice that I could give. But I think as of right now, if you're striving to open your own restaurant, I know money is always an issue, but if you have the heart for it and you have the drive, like, I mean, I don't see why not, you know? Filipino food is needed, you know, we need more, you know? If there's a Chinatown in every city, like, why isn't there a Filipino town? You know, there's enough of us. But it's also like a money thing, you know? It's tough out there. I mean, just business in general of just opening up. Like it's challenging right now. It kind of hits me right here because it's the hardest thing ever to run, you know, in any business. But as far as like one's advice is, if you really want it, you could get it, you know, and that's, I think, any advice that I could give for if you want to open any type of business. All right, y'all, check it out. Actually, I'm not completely done. You got to get the bonus green onion, you know, that little extra bite of freshness.
Okay, we have one question from the audience.
All right, let's go.
Do you think Philippine cuisine has finally come? Or I guess another way to word it, like, where do you believe Philippine cuisine stands in the mainstream, quote unquote, mainstream food scene?
You know, it's on that topic, I think it has gotten more highlight, like currently where it's at. Like, it's awesome to see it being more in the media. And though it should be shown more, like, it's always been around, and it's like, you know, it's kind of unfortunate that, like, why is it only coming around now? Or like more recently, you know, in the past few years, or the next generation of the new chefs coming out, like, yeah, I feel like, I mean, it's out there. People are noticing it now. Like, yeah, I got folks in the industry, you know, lumpia is like common, you know, it's something that's out there. But I think we need more of it. We still need more of it. We still need representation of who we are. And, you know, it's our duty to do that, you know. We walk this land too. We should be recognized.
I kind of have a follow-up question to that. What is it that you believe, what is it about Filipino cuisine that maybe people don't necessarily take it as seriously as, say, French cuisine, where that's like taught in culinary school?
I think, or wait, say again, why it's not?
You were talking about earlier, like French cuisine is what gets taught in culinary school. So like, what do you think is it about Filipino cuisine that maybe folks don't necessarily take it as seriously or don't see it as a cuisine and just kind of, you know,
like keep it as like not like yeah, I get that.
you know what I mean?
I feel like again it's representation, you know. It's a lot of the colonization that instilled in our history. You know, we're like one of the most colonized ethnicities out there. You know, we've been taken over so many times that really push us back and oppresses us so many times. And ooh, hold up. You know, it's deep, it's hella deep, and it's like unfortunate. So as simple as something like this needs to be fine cuisine, you know? It's just the amount of layers that were that pushed us down to put us at a bottom, you know, at a ooh, hold on.
I'm gonna cry. You're gonna make me cry.
Yeah, it just means you're very passionate and care about what you're talking about being Filipino.
Yep.
You know, the shirt you're wearing, it speaks volumes too. Defend the oppressed, fight the oppressor.
That's where it's at. Ooh, hold on. But yeah, like, and we're gonna you know, as resilient as we are, like we got to keep doing what we're doing, you know. Food is number one, you know, as y'all said in the on the little description of what this series is about. Like, food speaks our language. It's our love language, and this is how we show who we are as Filipinos, right? But yeah, I think we just got to keep pushing it, you know, and it's like also like it's a frontline work, putting our food as what represents us, of who we are, how we communicate, how we care for our community, how we feed each other, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's so deep like that. And again, like, food is what we eat, you know? Food is who we are, you know? Vegetable pancit, everybody.
That looks bomb.
I wish y'all could donate. I still got a whole pot, so Portland.
I will drive down, what is that, 3-hour drive?
I still got a lot, you know, there's a lot of baon. Hello. But yes, thank you. That is a very deep question. It comes, you know, it surfaces me all the time, you know, and food is how I speak. You know, even in whatever industry I'm in or whatever I'm doing, whether it's work or not work, I speak food. And again, you know, thank you for y'all being here and just listening and just, you know, just sharing space and like enjoying what we love and, you know, just being as resilient as we are. And especially during these times, it's deep. It's like, it's a lot. But we got to keep breaking those systems and continue to, you know, uplift each other where we're at and, you know, and always eat. So yeah, thank you.
Before you go, do you want to answer a few more questions from the audience?
Yeah, I'm ready to go eat. Can I eat?
Yeah. So if you have any questions, yeah, just put them in the chat and we'll ask away.
You mean like a minute? You know, I want to show off my chanelas a little bit. You know.
Yeah, talk about your chanelas. What about that the tattoo on your leg?
Oh, okay. Well, let's see. Well, the tattoo on my leg has a lot of meaning to me. Like I really want to dedicate. I dedicated this leg to be basically fruits or plants that are represented in the Philippines. I have bamboo. You know, bamboo represents to me like strength. You know, the bamboo is one of the strongest things that are grown on the ground. You know, I have it right here. And, you know, it kind of helps me rooted, you know, to think that, you know, I'm strong like a bamboo. I got manga and I got a banana plant and that's all I have right now on that leg. But, you know, those from mango to the banana plant, like those are images that I remember going to the Philippines, you know, growing up as a kid. Like anytime anybody came back from the Philippines, I always asked for dried mango because that was the only place that I could get the best dried mango. And I remember my parents would joke like, oh, when you go back to the Philippines, you can just live in the mango tree and you just eat mangoes. And I was ready for it. I'm down with it. So yeah, I'm kind of dedicating like that leg as how it roots me to being Filipino. And then right here, like these were all tattoos um, Kuya Lane Wilkin, Filipino tattoo. Him, and like other participants, they did the tattoo. And here, this represents my father's side, and this side represents my mother's side. And I don't know if y'all have tattoos or not, but like I got birds, and I remember at the time when before I had it, we talked, we had a conversation, and we talked about what my current state of mind was, where I'm from, where my parents from, or just the background of that, and like the birds really represented the ancestors. At the time, I actually got this after I won CHOP because I just felt the sense of like, woo! I just felt like I was so empowered, and I was just like, yo, like I just need this done. I always saw a lot of three consecutive numbers, and 3 was a common thing, and they said that like, that this 3 birds represents ancestors that are protecting me, and letting me know that they're guiding me to whatever I pursue. And this kind of is like this line right here, similar to a fern, right? And I spoke of like how I feed and I give with my hands. I cook all my laborers through my hands. When I prep and I do work, it's always through these. If I lost my hands, oh man, knock on wood, like I give a lot through this. A lot of my energy comes from this. And this kind of resembles like a fern, right? A fern is like when they're closed, and then when they give, they sprout and they spread out like that. This side is my father's side. I said I give a lot to the community. I like to give space, and my contribution is I give a lot. I cook a lot, and this also represents like a banig, right? A banig, you share, you have communal seating, right? You got the banig, and this is also on my hands where I'm also providing and giving. Hold on really quick. And again, like I have bird's feet, which also represents ancestors watching over me, protecting me in that sense. So if y'all want to check it out. I do want more. Like I feel like I got a lot of unfinished business to do, I think we all got a lot of unfinished business to do. But these are reminders. These are reminders that keep me strong. These are reminders that keep me protected wherever I'm at. But yeah, I just wanted to share that.
Thank you. Before you eat, can you take a picture of the plate?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
You would have. Oh, you're using your phone.
How about this? I'll take another one after.
Okay.
A staged picture.
Okay. Well, if the audience doesn't have any more questions, I'm going to share my screen. Do you have anything left to say, Charleen?
No, I think I'm good. Like, I kind of wish that like I had some folks here to eat. Like in most cases, this whole house would be full, and I'd be feeding y'all, and I have no problem doing that. But I'm hoping that maybe when COVID goes down or clears up, then maybe we could all break bread soon one day and have a big old family party up in the Pacific Northwest or wherever I'll be.
All right, just give me one moment to get my laptop started. Charleen, I don't know if you have any more questions too.
Oh, I just remember, maybe it was last night, we were saying you're going to do an ASMR of eating.
Really? Can I do it?
Yeah.
Well,
That's not too weird.
Hey, Chitron is life, so is ASMR. And I don't think y'all know what ASMR is, or maybe you do, but I'm all about it. look it up, hashtag ASMR. If you don't like eating or seeing people eat with their mouth open, you could turn it off and you could just listen. But I'm all about chicharron, you know, the crunch. Hey, that's a hard one. I'm about to be bonget in a second, you know. I'm glad you noticed this shirt. I want to give a shout out to Bayani Art. So Bayani Art, they got a lot more shirts available. Just hit them up.
But do they have a website?
I believe so. BayaniArt.com. Wow, there's some dummy people. Look at that. We would have had a big old party. What's up, everybody?
Can you let the audience know how they can reach you or follow you?
Sure. Instagram at Chef Charleen. That's ChefCharleen. Or on Facebook, Charleen Kaabay. I've been working on trying to get my website together, so I have a lot of I have things in the woodworks, you know, that's coming up. Not a little, well, actually I do. Not anytime too soon, but probably in the fall. Again, I'm trying to leverage my time right now and figure out how I could be out and about and well, safely social distancing, but you know, being able to connect with our community, continue to build, and just bring awareness where we can, you know. Like, I know that's what we need right now. We need all the love, we need all the healing, we need a lot right now for our community, especially like what's going on in the Philippines. Like, what's up? Like, y'all gotta, I don't know, like, y'all gotta check out, I'm sorry, what's your website again? Philippine Progress?
philippineprogress.org.
Yeah, check out the org. Like, you know, we gotta fight that anti-terrorism stuff in the Philippines. That's wild to me. It's too wild. So y'all just, you know, keep educating yourself, keep reading and sharing information, you know?
All right. Thank you, Chef Charleen. On behalf of the Foundation for Philippine Progress, I want to thank you for teaching us how to make pancit and, you know, just being yourself and talking about your family history and your background. You're so funny. You know what? You want to know what else is funny?
What?
This.
Oh, wow.
So I've known Charleen since 8th grade. As mentioned earlier, we pretty much grew up in Vallejo. The photo on the left, we were part of the powder puff, Charleen? It's like when the girls, they switch roles in football and we were the football players. And then on the right is our band picture. And I'm just noticing, like, we have the same facial expressions.
It's
as I was flipping through all the photo albums that I collected, like, we just have the same facial expression.
That's because, you know, we, you know, in high school, you got to play hard, you know, you show that weakness. That's it.
That tuba life. Right. Well, I want to thank the audience too for spending time this afternoon with us. We look forward to your feedback and comments about today's presentation. Before we let you go, I want to turn it over to Kuya Roger to announce today's raffle winners.
Thank you so much, Chef Charleen. You really rock. I mean, you are deep puso. You have the heart, and you hit it right on the dot when you said, food and Filipino are inseparable. Yep. So thank you to everyone. Please make sure you follow us on social media at Philippine Progress on Instagram and Philippine Progress on Facebook. You can also be a partner for progress in tinyurl.com /partner for progress. Involvement ranges from just being part of our mailing list to attending our events to volunteering, donating, or hosting a fundraiser to our efforts. or donate via philippineprogress.org/donate, or by setting up a Facebook fundraiser. These are just simple acts of generosity to do so much in the lives of our kababayan in the Philippines. And thank you again for joining us. And now I will announce today's raffle winners. So do we have a drum roll, please? Okay, here we go. So this is the basket where we have all the people who donated. Let's see, a 1-hour cooking lesson with Chef Charleen. Here we go. The winner is Jacqueline Canlas. Jacqueline, please give us your address and we can have you set up for 1 hour of Zoom class or Zoom session with Chef Charleen. Thank you, Jacqueline Canlas. So the next winner.
Kuya, can I do the drum roll again?
Yes.
I missed the cue, so let's do it.
Do it again. I heard it.
Okay, here we go.
Here we go. Yeah, and this time it's I Am Filipino Cookbook. Invaluable. So here it is. I am going to read it now. The winner is Susie Willems. Susie Willems Jeroms. Susie Willems Jeroms. Susie, please send us your text us your address. And again, now I pass it back to Jeline to close us out. Thank you, Chef Charleen. All right.
Thank you very much, Kuya. Kind of giving some background to close out, background for the series. Back in December of last year, both I and myself, along with other community members, had the opportunity to visit the Philippines on an immersion trip where we visited parts of the Western Visayas. We stayed with families in fishing villages along the Panay River, families who every day face abject poverty, who lack regular access to nourishing food and clean water, who after 6 years were still facing the impacts of Typhoon Haiyan, only to be knocked back down by annual typhoons and flash floods. But still, they opened up their homes to us and humbly offered what little they had. We witnessed how creative and resourceful our people are out of a true need and desire for a better quality of life. Imagine how much more we can accomplish as a people once our basic needs are met. There is a resilience that runs through the blood of the Filipino people that truly shines in the day-to-day. Something that seems so small, like sharing a meal with one another, the flavors and textures of which transcend time and space, evoking a feeling of pride, of nostalgia, of being truly at home with one another, even if we've never been back home. In the words of Carlos Bulosan, it is only when we have plenty to eat, plenty of everything, that we begin to understand what freedom means. To us, freedom is not an intangible thing. When we have enough to eat, then we are healthy enough to enjoy what we eat. Then we have the time and ability to read and think and discuss things. Then we are not merely living, but also becoming a creative part of life. Maraming salamat sa inyong lahat. Thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you to Chef Charleen and our staff team and all of the participants tonight. And thank you to Erna Cruz-Louis of the American Center of Philippine Arts for donating original rondalia music, which you heard playing in the background. Please join us for the rest of the events in this series. Next Thursday, we will have part 2 of Kumain Ka Na, where I and myself will be going deeper into our experiences in the Philippines last December and cooking some of the dishes that we had there. You can visit tinyurl.com/iheartph to see the rest of the events and to register for them. We'd also love to hear any feedback you have on this webinar and to hear if there are any topics you'd be interested for future events. You can leave us feedback at tinyurl.com/iheartphfeedback. We hope to see you for the rest of our series. Magandang gabi at salamat sa inyong lahat. Thank you and good night.